Death can come in many strange ways. In this video, we'll look at 5 more of the most bizarre deaths of all time. These real stories show how unpredictable and odd life can be, with people meeting their end in ways no one could have imagined. It was the night of September 18, 2015 in Kotni, a small town in Madhya Pradesh, India. Latori Barman, a 45-year-old farm laborer, attended a village fair. After the event, his wife left to visit her parents while Latori decided to head home alone. He had been drinking, and the road he took was poorly maintained. The path had a large, unmarked pothole, no warnings, barriers, or lights to indicate danger. It was pitch dark, and Latori, unaware of the hazard, stumbled into the deep hole, lost his balance, and fell. In his intoxicated state, he lost consciousness. That same night, a team of road workers arrived to repair the damaged section. Their task was to fill the pothole with a mixture of gravel and asphalt, and then flatten it with a steamroller. Unknowingly, they began working without noticing Latori lying at the bottom of the hole. They poured hot tar over him and completed the job, leaving him buried beneath the newly paved road. The following morning, villagers from Sleemanabad made a disturbing discovery. As one local walked along the freshly laid road, they noticed something unusual. Part of an arm was sticking out from the asphalt. Upon closer inspection, the horrifying truth emerged. Latori's body was buried beneath the road. Authorities were called and an investigation began. Latori had tragically passed away due to suffocation under the layers of hot tar. The police concluded that he had fallen into the pothole the previous night while intoxicated. The road workers, unaware of his presence, unknowingly sealed him under the fresh asphalt. The tragedy sparked outrage in the local community. Villagers protested, blocking roads and demanding accountability. The workers involved, including the truck driver who transported the asphalt and the individual who filled the pothole, were arrested and charged with negligence leading to a loss of life. This incident showed a much larger problem in India: the dangerous state of its roads. Poor maintenance, lack of safety measures, and hazardous infrastructure contribute to thousands of accidents annually. In rural areas and even major cities, potholes often turn into death traps, especially during the monsoon season. According to statistics, around 7,700 people lose their lives each year in India due to road-related hazards. The term killer craters has been used to describe these deadly potholes. In some areas, residents name these hazards after public officials to draw attention to the issue. Latori's case became one of the many tragedies linked to inadequate infrastructure, sparking public calls for better road safety measures and stricter oversight of construction projects. As a response, local authorities offered Latori's family a compensation of 50,000 rupees, or about $760. While the payment was intended to alleviate some of the financial strain on his widow and children, many felt it was an insufficient gesture considering the gravity of the incident. The tragedy also raised critical questions. How did the workers fail to notice Latori in the pothole? Why were there no safety measures, such as barriers or warning signs, to prevent accidents like this? And why did it take a villager noticing his arm the next day for the truth to come to light? Latori's death, though shocking, was not an isolated incident. India's roads claim thousands of lives annually, with poorly maintained roads playing a significant role. These accidents often go unnoticed until they result in devastating consequences. Latori's story is an example of the dangers posed by neglect and lack of oversight. Improving infrastructure is key to preventing such tragedies. Roads need proper construction, regular maintenance, and safety measures like visible signage and protective barriers. However, challenges such as corruption and poor accountability in India's public works system hinder meaningful progress. Latori Barman's untimely passing is a warning about the cost of neglecting road safety. While the workers involved were charged, the real tragedy lies in how preventable his death could have been if basic precautions had been in place. His story underscores the urgent need for reform in road safety and infrastructure management in India. It was July 26, 2010 in California, when 80-year-old Maria de Jesus Arroyo suffered a heart-related incident at home. Emergency responders rushed her to White Memorial Hospital in Los Angeles, where doctors tried to revive her but ultimately declared her dead. Her passing was attributed to cardiac arrest. Following standard procedure, hospital staff placed her body in the morgue freezer, unaware that this decision would lead to a horrifying tragedy. Maria was a beloved mother of 8, grandmother, and wife of 63 years. Her family, who had just celebrated her 80th birthday, believed she had passed peacefully. They began funeral arrangements without suspicion. However, when the morticians received her body days later, they made a shocking discovery. Maria's body was found face down in the bag, her face bruised, cut, and disfigured with a broken nose. These injuries were too severe to have occurred post-mortem or during routine handling. Devastated, the family initially assumed mishandling by hospital staff. They filed a lawsuit accusing the hospital of negligence. But as experts examined the case, a much more disturbing explanation came to light. A pathologist, Dr. William Lewis Manion, reviewed Maria's injuries and concluded that she had likely been alive when placed in the freezer. His analysis suggested that the cold temperatures caused her to regain consciousness. Disoriented and trapped in darkness, Maria might have struggled to free herself, causing the injuries on her face. Tragically, the freezing conditions ultimately led to her death. Dr. Manion's findings described an unthinkable scenario. He concluded that Maria had been improperly placed in the freezer while still alive, face up instead of face down. This position, combined with her attempts to escape, resulted in severe injuries. The disfigurement, including bruises and cuts, indicated a desperate struggle, not damage that could occur after death. The hospital denied these claims, insisting they followed correct procedures and disputing the pathologist's conclusions. They argued there was no proof Maria had been alive when sent to the morgue. The family, now accusing the hospital of medical malpractice, filed another lawsuit in December 2011. Their lawyer, Scott Schutzman, called the case one of the most extreme examples of negligence. Schutzman remarked that it was every family's nightmare. He wondered aloud if anyone could imagine waking up in a sealed body bag unable to escape. The legal process was fraught with obstacles. Initially, the case was dismissed due to the statute of limitations, as the family had waited more than a year to file. However, the Second District Court of Appeal overturned this ruling, stating the family could not have known the truth until receiving the pathologist report. The lawsuit was allowed to proceed, offering the family a chance to seek justice. Court records highlighted troubling inconsistencies in the hospital's actions. Reports suggested Maria's vital signs might not have been thoroughly checked before declaring her dead. EKG records showed potential signs of life, raising questions about whether the hospital had rushed its decision. These findings pointed to procedural failures with devastating consequences. For Maria's family, the ordeal was emotionally unbearable. They struggled to reconcile the horrifying details of her final moments with the loving memories they had of her. The idea that she woke up alone, cold, and fighting for her life was a haunting image they could not escape. The case brought attention to serious flaws in medical protocols. It underscored the dire need for thorough confirmation of death to avoid preventable tragedies. As the lawsuit unfolded, the Arroyo family remained determined to hold the hospital accountable, despite the hospital's continued denials and defense of its actions. This tragedy left lingering questions. What if Maria's vital signs had been rechecked? Could her life have been saved? And how did such an unimaginable mistake occur? For her family, the pursuit of answers and justice was their only comfort, though no legal outcome could erase the pain of what Maria endured in her final hours. It was 2015, on a regular Sunday in Jingzhou, a busy city in China's Hubei province. Families were out shopping, and the Anliang department store was bustling with weekend crowds. For 30-year-old Xiang Liujuan and her 2-year-old son, it started as a typical outing, but ended in an unimaginable tragedy that shook the nation. Xiang and her son were nearing the top of an escalator when disaster struck. The metal floor panel beneath their feet suddenly gave way, exposing the machinery below. In a desperate act, Xiang pushed her son forward, saving his life as the floor collapsed. A nearby mall worker pulled the boy to safety, but Xiang was pulled into the escalator's mechanism. Despite efforts to save her, she was unable to escape. CCTV footage captured the harrowing moments. Xiang was seen holding her son, struggling to push him away from the danger as the floor crumbled. In those final seconds, she disappeared into the machinery, while a mall employee tried to grab her hand, but it was too late. Her husband, Zhang Wei, was shopping on another floor and witnessed the incident, helpless to intervene. What made this tragedy even harder to bear was that it could have been prevented. Just minutes before the collapse, mall staff noticed the loose metal panel. 2 employees found screws missing, leaving the plate unstable. Yet no action was taken to shut down the escalator or warn shoppers. There were no signs, barriers, or immediate safety measures. The head of the local safety administration later revealed that maintenance work had been done on the escalator earlier that day. However, the workers had failed to secure the panel properly. This oversight led to the fatal accident. Witnesses said the mall employees tried to warn Xiang as she approached the top, but by then it was too late. The escalator kept running, and within moments, the catastrophe unfolded. Emergency responders worked for 4 hours to recover Xiang's body from the machinery. By the time they succeeded, there were no signs of life. News of the incident quickly spread across Chinese social media, with millions reacting to the heartbreaking story. Many praised Xiang's heroic actions in saving her son, while others expressed outrage at the negligence that allowed the tragedy to happen. Questions arose about why the escalator wasn't shut down immediately after the loose screws were discovered. The employees, it was revealed, lacked training in handling such emergencies. Experts also criticized the design of the escalator. Charles Wong Kai-hun, a safety expert, explained that relying on screws to secure panels was unsafe and prone to failure. He noted that the cover should have been designed to remain stable under stress. But design flaws weren't the only issue. The larger problem was the lack of accountability and immediate action by the mall. The department store remained silent, refusing to release a statement or take responsibility. Investigations were ongoing, but the public's frustration continued to grow. Many saw this as part of a broader issue with safety standards in public spaces. This incident is not unique. In recent years, several similar escalator-related tragedies have occurred in China, highlighting systemic problems with maintenance and safety enforcement. In 2012, a young boy lost his life in a similar accident at a Beijing department store. Months earlier, a subway escalator malfunction in Beijing claimed another life. These repeated tragedies reveal ongoing lapses in safety protocols. Following Xiang's death, local authorities suspended the use of escalators made by Shenlong Elevator Limited, the manufacturer of the faulty machine. Inspectors were sent to check all escalators and elevators in the region to prevent further accidents. However, for Xiang's family, these actions came too late. They were left grieving a mother, wife, and daughter whose life was cut short. Xiang's family had refrained from discussing compensation until the investigation concluded. They wanted accountability for the preventable errors that led to her death. For now, they focus on honoring her memory, especially her last act of courage in saving her son. This tragedy is a grim reminder of the importance of safety in public spaces. It raises difficult questions. What if the staff had acted sooner? Could Xiang have been saved if the escalator was stopped or shoppers were warned in time? And how many more accidents are waiting to happen due to negligence and poor infrastructure? Xiang Liujuan's story is a heartbreaking example of heroism and the devastating consequences of preventable mistakes. It underscores the urgent need for better safety measures, proper training, and stricter accountability to ensure such tragedies never happen again. It was September 3, 2010, in the rural county of Devon, England. Mike Edwards, a former cellist for the legendary 1970s rock band Electric Light Orchestra, or ELO, was driving along the A381 road near Totnes. A beloved figure in the music world, Mike was heading to a concert when an unforeseen event changed everything. A massive hay bale, weighing nearly 600 kilograms, or 1,300 pounds, rolled down a hillside, crashed into his van, and caused his untimely passing. This tragic and rare accident shocked the music community and left many wondering how such a bizarre event could happen. Mike Edwards was born on May 31, 1948 in West London. Music was a constant in his life, inspired by his father, who played the cello as a hobby. Mike's talent led him to the prestigious Royal Academy of Music, where he honed his skills and became a versatile musician, mastering classical, jazz, and eventually rock music. In 1972, Mike joined ELO, a band known for blending classical elements with rock. His cello played a central role in their innovative sound, and his eccentric performances quickly made him a fan favorite. Mike was known for his unconventional antics on stage, such as using fruit as a bow for his cello, or adding pyrotechnics to his performances. These unique displays became part of ELO's identity during its early years. Despite his success with ELO, Mike left the band in 1975 seeking a quieter life. He focused on teaching, performing with local ensembles, and exploring creative music projects. Later, he adopted the name Swami Deva Pramada, reflecting his spiritual journey as a follower of the Indian teacher Osho. Though he stepped away from the spotlight, his contributions to music left a lasting impact. On the day of the accident, Mike was driving through a quiet, agricultural stretch of Devon. Unknown to him, a hay bale had been left near the edge of a sloped field. The bale had been moved the day before by Russell Williams, a contractor working for farmer Brian Burden. Due to equipment issues, Williams couldn't finish the job that day and left the bale in place, assuming it was secure. Tragically, it wasn't. As Mike passed along the road, the hay bale detached and rolled down the steep hill, crashing through a wire fence and hedge before colliding with his van. The impact was devastating and left Mike with no chance of survival. It was a sunny, clear day, making the event all the more shocking. The news of Mike's passing devastated his family, friends, and fans. Investigators quickly examined the incident, focusing on the handling of the hay bale. Both Burden and Williams faced charges related to safety violations, with prosecutors arguing that the accident could have been prevented. However, during the trial, evidence showed that both men had acted responsibly, and the jury found them not guilty. The court concluded that the event was an unfortunate accident, one that could have happened to anyone under similar circumstances. Mike's death was mourned deeply. ELO co-founder Jeff Lynne remembered him as a talented musician and kind person, noting his iconic performances that had left a lasting impression. Fans and colleagues reflected on his legacy, recalling his creativity and contributions to music. In the years following the tragedy, Mike's family and community continued to honor his memory. His students, friends, and fellow musicians spoke of the profound impact he had on their lives, both as a teacher and an artist. Though his life ended abruptly, his passion and talent remained celebrated. Mike Edwards' passing stands as a sad reminder of how unpredictable life can be. From his groundbreaking work with ELO to his dedication to teaching and music, Mike left a mark that will not be forgotten. It was October 20th, 2007 in New Delhi, India. Surinder Singh Bajwa, the 52-year-old deputy mayor of Delhi, was spending a quiet evening at home. Bajwa had been elected to his position in April, just months earlier. As a senior member of the Bharatiya Janata Party, or BJP, he was already a well-known figure in the local political scene. But that night, an unexpected event would change everything. Outside Bajwa's home, a group of rhesus macaques, a type of monkey known for being aggressive and territorial, entered the property. These monkeys were a growing problem in New Delhi, where urban development had disrupted their natural habitats. It wasn't uncommon for them to raid homes, steal food, or even confront people. But no one expected an incident this severe. Reports suggested that Bajwa noticed the monkeys and tried to scare them off. In his attempt to protect his home, he ended up on his balcony. What happened next was unclear, but it was believed that the monkey's aggressive behavior startled Bajwa, causing him to lose his balance and fall from the first-floor terrace. He suffered serious head injuries from the fall. Neighbors were horrified. Though the monkey problem was well known, no one had imagined it could lead to such a tragedy. Emergency services were called, and Bajwa was rushed to Indraprastha Apollo Hospital. Despite the doctor's efforts, his injuries were too severe, and he passed away the next day, October 21st, 2007. Bajwa's death shocked the city. He was a dedicated public servant, a husband, and a father. His family was devastated by the sudden loss, and the community mourned the tragedy. His death also brought national attention to Delhi's long-standing monkey problem, an issue that had been neglected for years despite repeated complaints. In New Delhi, rhesus macaques had become a part of everyday life. They frequently invaded homes, damaged property, and even injured people. Children and pedestrians were particularly vulnerable to their aggressive behavior. The city's rapid urbanization had displaced the monkeys from their natural habitats, forcing them to adapt to urban areas where food and shelter were abundant. Local authorities had tried various methods to control the monkey population, but none had worked effectively. One approach involved using langurs, a larger species of monkey, to scare away the rhesus macaques. However, this solution created problems. Langurs were difficult to manage, and employing them was illegal. Some handlers lost their jobs, and the monkey issue persisted. In some cases, even government offices had been overrun by monkeys, with reports of sensitive documents being scattered by them. Bajwa's family and neighbors had dealt with monkey invasions before, but they hadn't imagined the problem would turn deadly. His death highlighted the authorities' inability to address the issue despite court orders demanding action. The problem had become so severe that a lawsuit had been filed against the government for its failure to act. The public response to Bajwa's death was a mix of grief and anger. While many offered condolences to his family, others criticized the government for ignoring a growing safety threat. Political leaders visited Bajwa's home to pay their respects, but frustration among residents was clear. Many demanded immediate action to prevent further incidents. One challenge in solving the monkey problem was the cultural and religious significance of these animals in India. Monkeys are considered sacred by many and are associated with the Hindu god Hanuman. Feeding monkeys is a common practice, which further encouraged their presence in urban areas. Efforts to remove or relocate the animals often face resistance from local communities. Following Bajwa's death, the Delhi Municipal Corporation, or MCD, announced plans to hire more monkey catchers and implement stricter measures to control the monkey population. However, many felt these actions were too late. The tragedy has been a grim reminder of the dangers posed by wildlife in urban areas and the need for a long-term solution. Bajwa's fall wasn't the first serious incident involving monkeys, but it was among the most high-profile. Over the years, monkeys have injured residents, damaged property, and disrupted daily life in the city. In one case, even the Defense Ministry had to deal with monkeys tampering with important documents. The issue wasn't just a nuisance. It had become a security and safety concern for Delhi. Bajwa's death underscored the urgent need for better wildlife management in the rapidly growing city. While efforts to address the problem continued, his passing remained a tragic reminder of what happens when urban development and nature collide without proper planning.